I glanced at my husband's phone and saw my son's girlfriend write, "I miss what happened in your bedroom." His reply was worse. He trusts both of us. So I quietly took the evidence, our children, and my life back. The name at the top was Lauren. For a moment, I assumed it was an innocent conversation. Lauren had been dating our son, Tyler, for almost 4 years. She had eaten dinner in our home, joined family celebrations, and stayed with us whenever things became difficult at her own house. I had treated her like another daughter. Then I saw the message. "I miss what happened in your bedroom." Directly beneath it was Andrew's reply. "He trusts both of us. Stop worrying." Andrew swiped the screen away. He looked up at me. "What?" I realized I had stopped moving. "Nothing," I said. My voice sounded almost normal. He took another sip of coffee, made a face, and poured it into the sink. "This is freezing." Then he walked out of the kitchen as if nothing had happened. I remained there holding an electricity bill I had already folded twice. My mind immediately began searching for an explanation that would allow me to keep breathing. Maybe I had misunderstood. Maybe the message referred to something harmless. Maybe Lauren had sent it to the wrong person. But no innocent explanation could survive Andrew's response. "He trusts both of us." The "he" could only be Tyler, our son. I spent the rest of that morning moving through the house without remembering what I was doing. I put clean dishes back into the dishwasher. I left wet laundry sitting in the machine. At one point, I found myself standing in our bedroom, staring at the bed. A month earlier, I had found a piece of women's clothing near the footboard. It wasn't mine. At the time, I tried convincing myself it belonged to our 15-year-old daughter, Natalie. That explanation made no sense. Natalie did her own laundry and had no reason to leave anything in our room. Still, I placed it in the laundry basket and forced myself to forget about it. I hadn't been protecting Andrew. I had been protecting the life I thought we had. Now, looking at the bed, I understood that part of me had recognized the danger before I was ready to face it. Andrew had changed gradually over the years. He became impatient, distant, and eventually cruel in ways small enough to dismiss one at a time. If I wore something new, he barely looked at me. If I asked whether he liked it, he shrugged and said it was fine. If I complained that I was tired, he reminded me that he worked harder. If I suggested we spend time together, he always had another plan. Eventually, I stopped asking him to notice me. I told myself that this was what happened after nearly 20 years of marriage. People became familiar. Conversations grew shorter. Affection disappeared beneath routine. Most often, I blamed myself. That evening, Andrew behaved normally. He asked Natalie about a school assignment. He reminded Tyler that his car needed an oil change. He complained that the internet was slow. Lauren's name came up during dinner. Tyler told us they had been arguing about college. He wanted to remain close to home, while Lauren had applied to schools farther away. "She thinks long distance could work," he said. "I'm not sure." Andrew continued eating. He didn't look nervous or guilty. He listened to our son talk about the girl he loved without showing the slightest reaction. That was when I stopped searching for an innocent explanation. I needed proof. Not because I doubted what I had seen, but because I knew Andrew. If I confronted him without evidence, he would deny everything. Then he would accuse me of being jealous, paranoid, or confused. For years, he had turned disagreements into trials where I became both the accused and the unreliable witness. I wasn't going to give him that opportunity. Andrew had never been careful with passwords around the family. We knew the code to his phone because he used the same one for almost everything. Until that week, I had never opened his private messages. The first time I picked up his phone while he was showering, my hands shook so badly that I entered the code incorrectly. I waited a few seconds and tried again. The conversation with Lauren was easy to find. Most of the older messages had been deleted, but roughly 3 months remained. I wish I could say the worst part was discovering that they were involved. It wasn't. The worst part was seeing how comfortable they were. This wasn't one reckless mistake followed by panic and regret. They had private jokes. They arranged phone calls and secret meetings. They discussed times when Tyler, Natalie, or I would be away from the house. They spoke like two people hiding from an unreasonable world rather than two people betraying everyone who trusted them. Andrew repeatedly told Lauren she was mature, special, and different from other girls her age. He said she understood him in ways I never had. He complained about me and criticized my appearance. He described me as bitter, boring, and old. Sometimes Lauren laughed. Other times, she told him he deserved someone who appreciated him. I took screenshots until my fingers became numb. Then I found the message that disturbed me most. Lauren had written that Tyler seemed suspicious. Andrew replied, "He trusts both of us. Don't create a problem that doesn't exist." I had to sit down. Our son's trust wasn't an obstacle to them. It was protection. I sent every screenshot to a private email account Andrew didn't know existed. Then I erased any sign that I had accessed his phone and returned it to the exact place where I found it. I barely reached the bathroom before I became sick. For the next several days, I lived two separate lives. In one, I made breakfast, bought groceries, reminded Natalie about appointments, and listened to Tyler discuss graduation. In the other, I quietly collected evidence. Andrew's computer contained folders hidden beneath ordinary names. Some held adult material. Others contained photographs he had saved from social media. Several were pictures of Lauren. The photographs themselves were not explicit. She was fully dressed in every one. That didn't make them harmless. They were ordinary pictures she had posted over the years. School events, outings with friends, family celebrations, pictures taken inside our home. Andrew had saved them privately and organized them by date. Some went back much farther than the 3 months of messages still available on his phone. I also found dating profiles where Andrew claimed he was separated. He was actively communicating with several younger women, almost all of them barely into adulthood. There were payments to private websites and accounts I had never known existed. The money came from funds I believed were being used for household expenses. I copied the messages, call records, photographs, account information, and payment histories onto 2 drives. One remained hidden in my car. The other went to my brother, Kevin. I called him while Andrew was away from the house. Kevin answered with his usual joke. "What did you break?" Hearing his voice nearly made me lose control. "I need you to listen," I said. "Please don't interrupt until I'm finished." He became serious immediately. I told him what I had found. I couldn't repeat every detail aloud, but I told him enough. When I finished, Kevin was silent. Then he asked, "Are you and the kids safe?" The question frightened me. "I think so. Thinking isn't enough." "Have you confronted him?" "No." "Good. Don't." Kevin connected me with a divorce attorney named Caroline. She was known for being direct, prepared, and difficult to intimidate. I met her the following morning while Andrew believed I was shopping. Caroline didn't gasp or offer empty reassurance when I showed her the screenshots. She studied each page and asked precise questions. Was Lauren 18? Yes. How long had she been 18? About 5 months. Could I prove when the relationship became physical? No. Did I believe Andrew's influence over her had begun earlier? Yes. Could I prove it? Not yet. Had Andrew ever threatened me? Not directly, but he had become volatile during arguments and regularly used intimidation to silence me. Did he have access to our money? Yes. Could he move it? Yes. Caroline closed the folder. "Do not confront him alone," she said. "Do not tell him you're leaving. We secure what we legally can, document everything, and move you and the children somewhere safe." I stared at her. "Tyler is 18. He is still your son," she replied. "And he is about to learn that his father and his girlfriend betrayed him together." That was the part one had been avoiding. I could imagine leaving Andrew. I could imagine court hearings, financial arguments, and selling the house. I could not imagine looking into Tyler's face and telling him the truth. Lauren was his first love. They had known each other before high school and started dating during the summer before their freshman year. They attended different schools, but they kept the relationship going through exams, family problems, and ordinary teenage disagreements. Tyler trusted her with every vulnerable part of himself. He also trusted his father. When Tyler learned to drive, Andrew taught him. When Tyler was nervous about asking Lauren out, Andrew encouraged him. When Tyler and Lauren had their first major argument, Andrew advised him to be patient with her. Now I wondered whether Andrew had been studying their relationship from the beginning. I wondered when he started presenting himself as the wise adult Lauren could rely on. Most of all, I wondered whether he had been waiting for her to turn 18 so he could insist that everything was acceptable. Caroline must have seen the panic on my face. "You don't have to explain it perfectly," she said. "You only have to tell your children the truth and keep them safe." 2 days later, I picked Tyler and Natalie up from school. They immediately knew something was wrong. Natalie opened the passenger door, noticed the bags in the back, and froze. Where are we going? To Kevin's house. Why? I'll explain when we get there. Tyler leaned forward from the back seat. Is Dad okay? I tightened my grip on the steering wheel. I need both of you to wait until we're somewhere private. Neither of them spoke during the drive. Kevin and his wife, Michelle, were waiting when we arrived. Michelle carried our bags upstairs while Kevin led us into the living room. Natalie remained standing. Tyler sat on the edge of the couch. I had rehearsed what I would say. None of it survived the sight of them. There's something happening with your father, I began. Natalie's expression hardened. Is he cheating on you? Tyler turned toward her. Why would you say that? Because Mom looks like she hasn't slept in a week. I sat across from them. Yes, I said. He has been cheating. Tyler looked at the floor. Natalie whispered something under her breath. Then Tyler asked the question I had been dreading. Who is she? I couldn't answer. My mouth opened, but no sound came out. Kevin moved closer, but allowed me to continue. Tyler looked directly at me. Mom. Who is she? Lauren. At first, he didn't react. He stared at me as if I had spoken in another language. Natalie's face changed instantly. No. I nodded. No, she repeated. Not Lauren. I saw their messages. I copied them. I've already spoken to an attorney. Tyler stood so quickly that the coffee table shifted. You're wrong. I'm not. She wouldn't do that. I'm sorry. She wouldn't. His voice broke. That sound will remain with me for the rest of my life. I stood, but he stepped away. How do you know? I told him about the message I saw. I told him about the conversations, calls, photographs, and secret meetings. I didn't show him every cruel detail. He didn't need those words burned into his mind. But I showed him enough that denial became impossible. Tyler read one screenshot. Then another. His face became completely still. He placed my phone on the table and walked toward the hallway. Tyler, I said. He stopped without turning around. Did Dad say anything about me? I wanted to lie. Instead, I said, he said you trusted them. Tyler nodded once. Then he went upstairs and closed the bedroom door. Natalie didn't cry at first. She became furious. She paced around the room, listing every memory that suddenly felt different. The times Andrew volunteered to drive Lauren home. The times he stayed in the kitchen talking to her after Tyler went upstairs. The times Lauren defended Andrew whenever Natalie complained about him. I thought she was practically my sister, Natalie said. She sat in my room. She borrowed my clothes. I know. And Dad knew Tyler loved her. Yes. He knew what this would do to him. Her anger finally cracked, and she began to cry. I pulled her against me. That was when my own control disappeared. I had spent days gathering evidence, planning our departure, and trying to think like someone stronger than I felt. But with Natalie shaking in my arms and Tyler silent upstairs, I finally understood the true cost of Andrew's choices. He hadn't only destroyed our marriage. He had damaged the relationships our children believed were safest. The next morning, I met Lauren's mother, Dawn. She already suspected something was wrong because Lauren had become secretive and defensive. When I told her the truth, Dawn covered her mouth with both hands. She didn't accuse me of lying or defend Andrew. She returned home, confronted Lauren, and demanded her phone. Dawn called me later that evening. Her voice sounded exhausted. She says they're in love. I closed my eyes. She said that. She says you don't understand him. She says Andrew has always been there for her. How long has this been happening? She claims nothing romantic happened until after she turned 18. Do you believe her? Dawn hesitated. I believe that's what Andrew wants everyone to believe. Lauren's phone contained about 3 months of messages, matching the periods still available through Andrew's account. It appeared they had deleted older conversations around the same time. That did not prove when the relationship started. But their closeness suggested a longer history. Andrew had given her advice about problems at home. He told her that the adults in her life had failed her. He presented himself as the only person who truly understood her. Lauren called him her mentor and protector. I was angry with her. She had betrayed Tyler, mocked me, and entered our home while helping Andrew hide something that could destroy our family. But beneath my anger was an uncomfortable truth. Lauren was 18. Andrew was old enough to be her father. He had known her since she was 14. Whatever responsibility Lauren carried for hurting Tyler, Andrew had always held the greater power. Dawn begged Lauren to stop contacting him. Lauren refused. She accused both of us of trying to destroy the only real relationship she had ever had. When Dawn showed her Andrew's dating profiles, Lauren claimed I had fabricated them. When she showed Lauren his conversations with other women, Lauren insisted those women were chasing him. Every warning became evidence in Lauren's mind that the world was against them. Meanwhile, Andrew began calling me repeatedly. I refused to answer. Caroline arranged a video meeting so I could confront him with legal support and without revealing where we were staying. The moment Andrew appeared on the screen, I understood why Caroline had told me not to face him alone. He looked irritated at first. Then Caroline explained that I had retained her and intended to file for divorce. The color drained from his face. "What is this?" he asked. "You know what it is," I said. "No, I don't. I know about Lauren." His face turned red. "You went through my phone?" I had expected denial, apology, or anger. I had not expected him to behave as though my discovery was the betrayal. "You invaded my privacy," he said. "You were involved with our son's girlfriend. You don't understand the context." "What context could change that?" "There's a lot you don't know." "Then explain it." He opened his mouth but produced no answer. Caroline asked when his relationship with Lauren became romantic. Andrew began speaking rapidly. He said they had formed a friendship. He claimed Lauren came to him for guidance and that I had twisted innocent conversations. Then he insisted nothing had happened. Caroline referred to the messages. "Context," he said. She mentioned the calls. Context. The saved photographs. Context. The meetings in our home. Context. He repeated the word until it stopped meaning anything. His forehead was covered in sweat. His breathing became heavy. He kept looking away from the screen as if searching for an exit. Finally, he demanded to know where Tyler and Natalie were. "They're safe," I said. "You had no right to take my children. Tyler is 18. Natalie is with me. I'm their father. You should have remembered that before you did this." His expression changed. For one frightening moment, the panic disappeared. What replaced it was colder. "You are going to regret humiliating me." Caroline immediately ended the call. Andrew tried to contact me repeatedly after that. He called from unfamiliar numbers and sent emails claiming I was destroying the family and turning the children against him. He didn't apologize to Tyler or ask how he was coping. He didn't attempt to explain himself to Natalie. Every message focused on what I had supposedly done to him. Caroline filed for temporary custody of Natalie and requested legal protection limiting Andrew's contact with us. The court approved temporary arrangements while the divorce moved forward. For the first few weeks, we remained with Kevin and Michelle. Their house was crowded, but they never made us feel like a burden. Michelle cleared a room so Natalie could have privacy. Kevin gave Tyler space without allowing him to disappear completely. Tyler agreed to see a therapist. After his first appointment, I asked how it went. He shrugged. "It was okay. Do you want to talk about it?" "No." Then he looked at me. "But I'll go back." That was enough. He didn't contact Lauren. She sent messages, emails, and explanations through mutual friends. Tyler blocked every account. Once, she contacted him from an unfamiliar number. Her message said, "You don't know the whole story." Tyler read it, handed me the phone, and asked me to block the number. Natalie initially refused therapy. She said she was angry, not broken. I told her therapy wasn't only for broken people. She still said no, and I didn't force her. Instead, I listened when she wanted to talk and stayed nearby when she didn't. A few weeks after we left, Natalie asked several friends whether Andrew had ever made them uncomfortable. Their answers changed the shape of my fear. One girl said Andrew stared at her whenever she visited. Another remembered him commenting on her clothes. A third said he often positioned himself wherever the girls were sitting, even when he had no reason to be there. None of them described a specific crime. But together, their memories suggested a pattern of watching and testing boundaries. Natalie blamed herself for not recognizing it. I told her the responsibility belonged entirely to Andrew. Later, when she couldn't hear me, I cried. I replayed every sleepover, birthday gathering, and afternoon when teenage girls had been inside our home. I wondered what else I had failed to see. That thought nearly consumed me until my therapist asked a question. Who taught you that noticing Andrew's behavior was your responsibility instead of his? I had no answer. Andrew had spent years making me responsible for his moods, disappointment, and distance. Even after leaving him, I was still carrying blame that belonged to him. The legal process moved slowly. Evidence had to be reviewed. Finances had to be separated. Temporary orders had to be followed. Andrew stopped trying to defend the marriage and focused on protecting himself. He claimed I exaggerated everything. He said Lauren had pursued him. He described himself as lonely and emotionally neglected. According to him, I had stopped being a proper wife years earlier. Caroline read one of his statements during a meeting. I waited for the familiar shame to return. It didn't. For years, I had believed Andrew's dissatisfaction proved I had failed. Now I could see what he was doing. He wanted his choices to sound like consequences of mine. I don't want to respond emotionally, I told Caroline. You don't need to, she said. The evidence responds for you. After initially avoiding Lauren, Andrew began seeing her again. Dawn called whenever Lauren disappeared for hours. Lauren insisted she was an adult and could choose whom she dated. Dawn threatened to make her leave the house, but I begged her not to. If you push her out, she'll go directly to him, I said. I don't know what else to do. Keep the door open. Even if she hates you for it. It felt strange defending Lauren after what she had done to Tyler. But isolating her would only give Andrew more control. Lauren still believed they would build a life together. She told Dawn that Andrew planned to divorce me, find another home, and help her attend college. Any evidence contradicting that future was dismissed as a lie or misunderstanding. When Andrew ignored her, she blamed me. When he returned, she called it proof of love. There was nothing I could say that she would not interpret as jealousy. Eventually, I stopped attempting to contact her. The decision filled me with guilt, but Tyler was barely sleeping. Natalie was examining her entire childhood through a different lens. I was trying to survive a divorce while wondering how long Andrew's behavior had been hidden in plain sight. I couldn't protect my children while carrying responsibility for everyone else. Months passed. Tyler graduated and began preparing for college. He looked steady from the outside, but certain things changed. He stopped talking about relationships. He became uncomfortable whenever anyone mentioned Andrew. He deleted almost every photograph containing either his father or Lauren. One evening, I found him sitting alone in Kevin's backyard. I sat beside him. For a long time, neither of us spoke. Then he asked, "Did Dad ever love us?" I wanted to answer immediately. I wanted to say yes, because that was what a mother was supposed to say. But I had learned how much damage a comforting lie could cause. I think he loved what we gave him, I said carefully. I don't know whether he knew how to love people without using them. Tyler stared into the yard. Is that why he did it? No. He did it because he chose to. Lauren chose to. Yes. He looked at me. Do you think she was manipulated? I do. Does that mean I'm not allowed to hate her? No. Two things can be true. She may have been manipulated, and she still hurt you. He nodded slowly. I don't know what I'm supposed to feel. You don't have to decide yet. That conversation didn't heal him. But it allowed him to admit that the situation was more complicated than betrayal alone. Natalie eventually agreed to therapy too. Her anger had faded into something quieter. She remembered small moments involving Andrew and asked whether they had meant anything. Sometimes I knew. Most of the time, I didn't. We had to learn to live without every answer. The divorce was approaching its final stage when Andrew vanished. There was no warning or final confrontation. One morning, Caroline called and told me a financial alert had been triggered. Andrew had transferred the remaining money he could still access from one of our shared accounts. A few hours later, we learned he had purchased a one-way ticket to Cambodia. He had left the country. At first, I believed it was another tactic. I assumed he would appear remotely for the next hearing or contact Caroline with new demands. He did neither. He stopped responding to his attorney, ignored court notices, and missed required payments. Then he abandoned his phone number and disappeared from every account we knew about. Dawn called me that evening. Lauren can't reach him, she said. I closed my eyes. Did he tell her he was leaving? No. Lauren had believed Andrew was preparing a new life for them. Instead, he had fled without her. For months, he had encouraged her to turn against her mother, Tyler, and anyone who questioned him. Then, when remaining in the country became inconvenient, he abandoned her too. Lauren didn't suddenly understand what had happened. She didn't apologize or return home and accept help. According to Dawn, she drifted between friends' houses and continued searching for ways to contact Andrew. Part of her still believed I had forced him to leave. I wish I could say I felt vindicated. I didn't. I felt exhausted. Andrew's disappearance delayed parts of the legal process, but it didn't stop the divorce. Caroline requested a default judgment when he failed to respond or appear. The court eventually finalized everything. I received full custody of Natalie. Andrew was ordered to provide support, though enforcing that order against someone hiding overseas became another problem entirely. People sometimes tell me I won. They say I escaped him and gained the freedom to rebuild. They aren't wrong. But the judgment didn't erase what happened to Tyler or restore Natalie's trust in her childhood. It also didn't answer the question that frightened me most. Why had Andrew chosen Cambodia? He had spent years seeking attention from much younger women. He had saved photographs of Lauren long before their relationship became openly romantic. Several girls had described feeling watched inside our home. I reported everything I could. I provided copies of the evidence and answered every question I was asked. But suspicion wasn't proof. We couldn't establish exactly when Andrew's physical relationship with Lauren began. Lauren refused to cooperate and insisted nothing happened before she turned 18. I couldn't claim to know exactly why he fled. I only knew what the pattern made me fear. A year after I found the message, the children and I were living in a smaller home. I sold the bed connected to my worst suspicions about Andrew and Lauren. Even without knowing every detail, I could no longer look at it without remembering the clothing I had found and the message on his phone. I sold most of the old furniture too. For the first time in years, I chose replacements because I liked them. Natalie helped paint the living room. Tyler complained about the color, but arrived on Saturday morning carrying rollers and coffee. Kevin installed shelves that leaned slightly to the left. Michelle brought dinner and pretended not to notice. It wasn't the life I had planned. But it belonged to us. Tyler is in college now. He doesn't speak about Andrew unless something comes up in therapy. He has made friends, developed new routines, and built a life that no longer revolves around what happened. The betrayal still hurts, but it no longer controls every part of him. Natalie remains guarded. Sometimes she asks whether I think Andrew will ever return. I tell her I don't know. My attorney continues documenting every violation and unpaid obligation. Should Andrew ever come back, he won't simply walk through our door and pretend the past disappeared. That is the only revenge I need. He escaped the country, but there is no family waiting to welcome him home. As for Lauren, I still receive occasional updates from Dawn. She hasn't fully returned home, but she sometimes answers her mother's calls. Dawn continues reminding her that the door remains open. I hope Lauren eventually understands what Andrew did. I hope she accepts help and apologizes to Tyler without expecting forgiveness. But her recovery is no longer mine to manage. I spent most of my marriage making myself responsible for the damage Andrew caused. I won't spend the rest of my life repeating that mistake. Some nights, I still wake up expecting to hear his key in the front door. I check the locks and wonder where he is, what name he might be using, and whether another family has mistaken his attention for kindness. Then Natalie moves in the next room, or Tyler sends me a message from college, and I remember what Andrew failed to take from us. We are still a family. We are hurt, but we are no longer under his control. Andrew took our money, abandoned his responsibilities, and ran halfway across the world. But by leaving, he gave us the chance to build a life in which he has no power. I used to think closure meant understanding why someone betrayed you. Now I think it means accepting that their reasons may never be good enough and refusing to let unanswered questions keep you trapped. Still, one question remains. Was I wrong to step back from Lauren after Andrew abandoned her, or was protecting my own children the only responsibility I had left?